Hi, hello everyone. So, quick revision of what we know so far about the unit circle. We have a circle divided up into 4 quadrants. Okay, so we have a circle divided up into 4 quadrants, and in each of the quadrant, the sine and the cos and the tan are represented by coordinates. So we'll start here: 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180, 270, and 360. Okay, so we always read from the positive axis anti-clockwise if it's a positive angle and clockwise if it's a negative angle. So how do we read these things off? So in the previous video, we showed that any coordinate on the unit circle is represented by the cos of the angle and the sine of the angle, and that the tan of the angle could be derived by sine of the angle divided by the cos of the angle. We also figured out that once you go past 90 and into the second quadrant, only the sine becomes positive. The cos and the tan of whatever angle it is will be negative. Once you go into the third quadrant down here, it's going to be the tan, and in the fourth quadrant, only the cos. So all sine, tan, and cos. That's what's positive in each one. Okay, that's as far as we got in the last day. So today we're really going to explore how you actually use it. Okay, so we'll use some examples to show this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a concept called the reference angle to make it easier for ourselves. And what I mean by a reference angle is we're going to refer to this page in the log tables for our answer. Okay, so keep this handy. We'll come back to it in a second. So let's do a very simple example. Let's find the sine of 120 degrees. So you're saying to yourself, okay, sine of 120 degrees, I know I can get out my calculator and do it. Okay, but how could you get it from the unit circle? Okay, so first of all, I'm actually going to do it on the calculator because, you know, it's fun. It's root 3 over 2. See that? Okay, so let's see how we're going to figure this out. Well, what I tend to do here is now at this stage in my life, I can just do it in my head, but at your stage, what I would just do is this circle. That's all I would do. Very quick sketch of a circle. Okay, where is 120? There's 0, there's 90. So 120 is somewhere here. It's this distance here. Okay, it's in the second quadrant. So it's going to be a positive answer because sine is positive in the second quadrant. However, there's no way of figuring out that without a calculator, really. Or is there? Because what we look for, instead of looking for the sine of 120, we look for the angle, the acute angle that it makes with the x-axis, this little bit of it. So not that bit, which is the one you want, but what's left over between it and the x-axis. And of course, that's going to be 180 minus 120, which is 60 degrees. So that's that angle there. And it's the 60 degrees that we look up. The sine of 60 degrees is root 3 over 2. So the sine of 120 degrees is the same as the sine of 60 degrees, which is root 3 over 2. So root 60 degrees becomes the reference angle for 120. Okay? So it's a nice little cheat, for want of a better word. Okay? So we'll try it another one. Okay? Let's try and find the cos of 225 degrees. Okay? Same thing again. I'm going to quickly sketch So we're starting here at 0. It's not in 90. It's gone past 180. It's somewhere in the third quadrant. Okay? Somewhere in the third quadrant. See that? Somewhere in the third quadrant. So what we need to figure out is the reference angle for 225. So what's our rule? It's between this line and the x-axis, the acute angle. So it's this one here we want. Okay, so that's going to be 225 degrees minus 180 degrees is 45 degrees. Okay, you see that? So now I'm going to look up the cos of 45, and it's 1 over root 2. So the cos of 45 degrees is equal to the cos of 22 degrees is equal to 1 over root 2. Okay, and listen, if you don't believe me, we'll check it out. Okay, here's a calculator. The cos of 225 degrees is that is 1 over root 2, trust me. That's why I don't trust these calculators. And of course, what have we to do with it? It's not just 1 over root 2, but because we're in the third quadrant, only tan is positive there, so we actually have a negative. And you can see that when you do it on the calculator. You get a minus answer. Okay, so that's why it's important to sketch it to know where it lies so that you can actually apply the rules of, you know, a positive or negative to it. So we'll try a few more of these just to have some more fun with them. Okay. So let's try and find some nice ones. Okay, okay. Right, we will get the tan of 110 degrees. No, 120 degrees. Okay, and we will find the cos of, let's try and find a big one. The cos of 300 degrees. Okay, so tan of 120 degrees. Let's sketch it first of all. So there we're starting from here. It's not 90, so it's somewhere in here. Okay, so that's 120 degrees there. Okay, so we need our reference angle, which is the distance between the angle and the x-axis, the acute angle. It won't be the big obtuse one here. It's this acute one, so it's this little fella here. So that's going to be 180 degrees minus 120 degrees. So we're looking for really the tan of 60 degrees would be equal to the tan of 120 degrees, which would be equal to tan of 60 degrees root 3. Okay. Feel free to check it out. Sorry, tan. And we have to check all sign. So it's a negative. Let's check it. Tan of 60. Sorry, 60. Tan of 120. Tan of 120 minus 1.73. See it there? Yeah. Minus root 3. Cool. We'll try the same thing here with 300. Okay, let's draw our sketch. Okay. So where is it? It's not there. It's definitely not there. It's definitely not there. It's somewhere in here. Okay, so this is an unusual one. So we've gone the whole way around. So what's our rule? Our rule is it's between this line and the x-axis that makes the acute. So it's this little fella here. So it's going to be, now, there's a couple of example things here. You can just go, because that's 360 minus 300. That's going to be 60 degrees. So the cos of 60 degrees is the same as the cos of 300. And it's going to be positive, okay? Because cos is positive in this fourth quadrant. So let's work it out. First of all, cos of 60 degrees is a half. So let's get the cos of 300, half. That's positive. Cool. Okay. So that's one way of kind of looking at it and how you could use the unit circle to find it, and based on reference angles. Now, what happens if you're given the actual answer? How can you find the angle? So how would you work backwards? If you were given a half, how could you work backwards into the sum? Okay, so that's where we're kind of going to go next and see, can we actually work that one out? So imagine this one being given to you. Okay, if the sine of the angle is equal to minus root 3 over 2, find the possible angles. Why do I say possible angles? Well, we'll see in a second. Okay, so let's try and apply our rules to what we have. Whatever angle it is, it generates a negative sign. So if I draw my unit circle, where will I get a negative sign? Okay, that's what you're really asking yourself. You can only get a negative sign here in the fourth quadrant or in the third quadrant. You can't get a negative sign there because everything's positive, and you can't get it there because sine is positive. So we're looking for two possible values between 180 and 360. Now, if we think about it, one of those possible values has to be, first of all, let's check what root 3 gives us in terms of sine. It gives us 60 degrees. So one of them has to be 60 degrees of a reference angle from that end, and one of them has to be 60 degrees from a reference angle from that end. Okay, so that's going to be 180 plus 60, and that's going to be 360 minus 60. So the angle could be 180 plus 60 degrees, which is 240, or the angle could be 360 minus 60, which is 300. So it could be two possibilities, but they will hint at that in the question. So again, how would you do it? First of all, figure out what the angle is. You can look up your reference angle in the log tables. You know, if it was a half and it was the sine, it'd be 30 degrees. If it was 1 and the tan, it'd be 45 degrees. You know, you'll be able to figure it out. Then you look at the sine and say, well, where could it possibly be? And once you know that, then you apply your rules. Well, you have to add on a bit or take away a bit, and you get your two possibilities. And feel free to check them out then. You know, sine of 240, which is minus root 3 over 2. Boom, yeah. And sine of 300, same answer. Minus root 3 over 2. Okay, feel free to check them out just to be sure. Okay, there's no point in kind of not checking it out. Okay, so if you're to put this into kind of into a cheat's guide to how to do it, it's pretty simple. Okay, you know, it's not the hardest thing in the possible world. Anything between 0 and 90, anything from there to there is just going to be that angle. Okay, whatever it is. If it's 0, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the whole way up to 90, it is what it is. Any angle that creeps into here, okay? So any angle that creeps between 0 and 180, okay? Except 180, obviously. But any number shorter than 180, but that creeps past 90, that's what we're really looking. So any angle that comes in here is going to be 180 minus that angle, because that'll give you the reference one in here. Okay. Similarly, anything that creeps in here, the reference angle is going to be 180 plus right up to here. Okay. And once you creep past here, any angle that makes it the whole way around into the fourth quadrant is going to be 360 minus that angle to give you the reference angle, because then it'll give you the acute version. Okay, so it's either going to be angle 180 minus it, 180 plus it, or 360 minus it. There's only 4 possibilities. You just keep playing around with them, you know, and always keep in your head all sine, tan, cos. All of them are positive. Only sine is positive. only tan is positive, only cos is positive. Okay, that's the kind of idea you need to get to when you're kind of dealing with this. Okay, so you know it is what it is. We'll definitely we'll try one more. Okay, just for the fun of it, just so you can kind of get your head around this idea, this reference angle idea. Because once you get your head around of it, you'll be able to figure it out. Okay, let's take if the tan of alpha is equal to 1 over root of 3, find alpha. So we need to find alpha. So first of all, let's figure this out. Okay, unit circle. Where is the tan positive? Tan is positive here in the first quadrant, and also here in the third quadrant. Here, it's just whatever I read off the book, because it's just alpha is the answer. Here, it's going to be 180 plus whatever the angle is. That'll be your reference. Okay, so let's work it out. What's the tan? What's 1 over root 3 as tan? It's 30 degrees. So one of the answers is 30 degrees. It's 30 degrees. That's one possibility. The other possibility is going to be 210. It's going to be 30 degrees plus 180. And we have to check that. Okay, tan 30 is... Now, be careful. On your calculator, it goes root 3 over 3. That's 1 over root 3. Okay? And let's check it for 210. Yeah. Okay. Root 3 over 3 is the same as 1 over 3. 1 over root 3 it is. Okay, if you multiply root 3 over 3 top and bottom by root 3, you get 1 over root 3. Remember, this is a way of kind of rationalizing surds. Okay, root 3 by root 3 is 3 over 3 root 3 is the same as 1 over root 3. That's what the calculator doesn't do. I don't know why it doesn't do it, but it doesn't do it. Some strange reason. Okay, so that is, well, that's it. Okay, there's nothing else kind of to it. You're just playing around with the unit circle. Okay, thank you very much.